Good afternoon from Nigeria. Good afternoon in UK. I believe in Canada we are. I think we are in the morning now, Peter.
Yes, it's 10 o'clock in
Whoa!
Canada, at least in Toronto. So yeah.
Wow! All right. Hey, viewers, we are live and we are super excited to have you. We are sure that you've been waiting for us. We know that. You'll be joining in now. You'll be joining in now. I'm super excited to have the I don't want to say the almighty Kolade.
Oh, please.
Come on. A lot have been said about you. I've checked about your profile. We've read about you, and I'm like, whoa, it's such a beautiful one to have you in today. And we are really super excited. Thank you so much, Kolade, for joining this session. We look forward to learning. Yeah, we look forward to learning so much from you today. So without much ado, I would like to just hit in and let's have this conversation rolling. Um, this is the fifth episode, and in this episode, we are looking at a product manager who has made vast success across his journey. Today, for those of us who don't have the experience, who are trying to transition, you will see how from any location from any industry you are, you can actually transition into tech. And we have an expert today who's going to be talking to us about that. So quickly, I'm just going to be asking a few questions and we'll have the conversation rolling. So, dear Mr. Peter Kolade, please let's meet you. Tell us about yourself, introduce yourself, tell us your background. People are super excited to have you come join us. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. And thanks for having me, Tosin. I'm really excited to be here. So
Yes, sir.
in terms of my background, I would say I've had quite an interesting journey in my professional experience. So I've actually been working for the past, I would say 10 years or maybe 11 years, thereabouts. But I would say I have like product management experience at least 5 years out of that 11 years. So I actually started off my
Okay.
career.
Hi, hello, Peter. So sorry.
Yeah.
I just noticed. Yes, I just noticed there's an issue. Those on Instagram are not getting this.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so I'm just trying to see what is happening. Just a minute, please. Yes, so sorry about this. So I just realized they are not getting this. So I just need to hit this again.
Yeah, let me just check my Instagram as well, see if it's live.
Yeah, it's not. Yes, sir. So,
okay.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just going to copy the key and put it here. Okay, so I think we are live now on IG. Yeah, I think we're live now on IG, but can you confirm it there on IG? I think we are good now. So sorry about that. Yeah, I think we're on IG now. Good. Quite a number of persons have been waiting, and so sorry about this. To our dear viewers, apologies for the break in transmission. We couldn't find the live, and we had to reset that, but I think we are live now. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. All right. So sorry about that. We've had the conversation rolling already, only for us to get the notification that the live was not active on IG. So we'll just take it back. Peter, I hope you don't mind that we roll back.
It's fine.
All right, thank you. Thanks for the thumbs up. So, Peter, let's meet you. Like I said, our viewers are really super excited to meet you. They want to know your background. Tell us about your journey, how you transitioned into tech.
Yeah, so like I said, so I've had quite an interesting professional journey. I I actually have a tech background. I
Okay.
have a BSc in computer science, and I think I would say that's essentially what it's kind of like set the foundation for my tech career in itself. Me getting into computer science itself is a different story, but let's just say that I've always loved playing video games, and me being
Wow.
a 16-year-old teenager, obviously the pathway to getting more of that and making money from my hobby as well was, okay, let me study computer science. Maybe I will get to play some games and also build fun games, right? But obviously, most of us don't end up doing what actually,
Yeah.
brought us into a career in the first place at the end
Yeah.
of the day. So, but yeah, it's been an interesting journey. I finished with a BSc in computer science, and right out of school, I actually started a business with a couple of my
Whoa.
friends that
Okay.
we majored in computer science together. So I actually started off building a business, and I did that for like 7 years. Now, the business I did was essentially a digital agency. So essentially, we're doing
Okay.
digital marketing. We also did a little bit of software development. And I would say
Okay.
that's essentially where I kind of gathered the skill set and experience that I later took into product management. And I would say that's essentially what's helping me thrive in this industry right now. So yeah,
Hmm.
built a business for like 7 years, moved to Canada, and I transitioned fully into tech. So, and even when I was like, when I first started out my journey as an entrepreneur, I
Yeah.
also was very involved with like software development. At that
Okay.
point, a lot more what I was doing was web development. I did a little bit of e-commerce.
Yeah.
I was working with like PHP, HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, and some of those interesting languages that were trending back then, at least like 10 years ago. So I've kind of
Hmm.
had a tech background, and I guess me moving into products made sense, looking at the experience I had in business and technology, and I would say maybe even user experience as well. So it kind of like just came together, and product management was just like the next step for me that made sense. So yeah.
Wow. I mean, you have a very interesting background, I must say. And thank
Yeah.
you for sharing that with us. All right. So I think you mentioned something similar because I wanted to ask that what actually drew you to the field of product management. But then I think you've already stated that, well, you had a tech background, but do you want to tell us what actually drew you to product management? And over time, what's your perspective about product management?
So yeah, what drew me into product management? Like I said, I've probably been very close to that role, to the product management role. Because even as an entrepreneur, there's been a lot of I've kind of played the PM role when I have like, because I essentially had like a team that was working with me, and a lot of what I was doing was building products, even as an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
But I would say what drew me to like just really doubling down on that particular field was one. I spoke about how I was very interested in games, but I think if I kind of like zoom out as well, it's just my
Yeah.
interest in building products that people actually want.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, there are a lot of times when I play around with products, and it's always interesting to just see how everything comes together. But when you look
Yeah.
on that hood is where you start to see a lot of interesting things. So I try to like reason, okay, what are kind of like the thought processes, the research, the innovations that kind of went into building this great product, right? So think of any of the best products you've used, from Twitter to or X as it's called now, to Google to Facebook, Uber. A lot of those products make sense when you're using it as a user, but also thinking through what are some of like the research and work that went into actually building this kind of products. And for me, I
Hmm.
wanted to be able to deep dive into that and kind of go under the hood and unwrap that. So I was like, okay, yeah, I think it'd be nice to get involved in being involved in the trenches rather than
Yeah.
operating at the executive level where I was, yes, I did get involved to a certain extent, but a lot of what you are doing at that level is business strategy, sales, business development,
Yeah.
finance.
Yeah.
It wasn't as exciting as being in the trenches, right? So I really wanted to get my hands dirty and get into the thick of things. So that's, I would say, is what we double down into PM role. But in the larger sense, I've just always been excited about good products, and it's not even just software. It's hardware, it's products across any different industry, it's electric vehicles, automobile, it's Internet of Things, it's building electronics. All those are products, right? It's not just software, right? I've been interested in that field generally. And I think to answer your follow-up question, you said something about what do I think about?
Yeah, what's your perspective?
What's my perspective?
Yeah.
I think the PM role, it's, at least from my own opinion, it's a very exciting role, and I think it's because it allows you to take different disciplines. It's kind of like when you are creating art, and a lot of what you have to do when you're creating art is you are drawing on different experiences or different disciplines to kind of create something magical or create something beautiful. So let's say you are doing like an artwork, like painting. They're probably going to be drawing from different experiences of, okay, maybe I've traveled to this kind of place, this is the kind of experience I've had, or this is my philosophical standpoint about the world and how it operates. And I try to express all that in an art form. It applies for music and anything else. And I think for product management as well, it kind of draws on different experiences for you to be able to build a valuable or useful product. So in my case, I've had experience working as a developer. I've had experience working in business. And, I've also had experience engaging customers, right? So for me, I felt like this kind of like is the confluence of all these different experiences. It kind of brings all that together.
Yeah.
And for me, it also makes it a lot more exciting because you are having to like wear different hats, and you're essentially drawing on different disciplines to create something beautiful. And that for me is exciting, right? I know that I don't, like next week, I'm not going to be working on the same thing. And even my job, I've probably across 5 different verticals in the last maybe 16, 17 months, right? And for me, that's the interesting thing, especially when you're working in as a B2B product manager, or you're working in enterprise, or as a consultant, essentially. So for me, I think that's the exciting thing about being a product.
I mean, this is so exciting, Peter, I must say. And permit me to say, you're a man of many hats. I mean, and it shows even in the content that that comes out of you. Thank you very much. We are really super excited to have you here, and I'm certain that our audience will learn so much from you today. I can see a lot of people are already in, and from the way I'm seeing them, they're really listening well. So, Peter, let's go on. We want to know the end-to-end experience of a product manager, because to be honest, in ATC, Advanced Training Consult, quite a number of persons have asked us, okay, which do I even really do? Product manager, a business analyst. People have asked, and sometimes you see that desire in them to really want to know, how does the life of a product manager look like? Is it meetings, or they have to be behind the system pressing some code? So Peter, we want to know, you are a senior product manager, we want to know from you, how does the life of a product manager look like from morning to evening? What's the connection? What does it do? Just run us through, yeah.
Okay, yeah, sure. So I will, what I would say is, anything I say from this point on, take it as my experience as a as a product manager that works in consulting, right?
Okay.
So because you have a PM, a B2B PM, but you also have a B2C PM or PM, SaaS PM, kind of like a software as a service PM, who is essentially working in a B2C organization. So the experience is different a bit. But I would say there are a lot of similarities across those two different roles. So in terms of my experience as a PM, I would say it depends on the kind of project I'm working on. But essentially, I could either be at the discovery phase of a project, or I
Okay.
could be at the delivery phase of a project.
Okay.
So if I'm at the discovery phase of a project, that means I have this product that we're trying to build. We don't know what that product is going to look like. We just know there's a business problem, right? We have a business problem, but we don't know what the product is. What discovery does is essentially we are going to deep dive to understand what would be the best way to resolve this problem. And
Okay.
that also defines what I do on a day-to-day basis, right? So what that means is I'm doing a lot more research work. I'm probably going to start off with a workshop, gather all the stakeholders together, make sure I have like a product charter where I'm able to define the business vision, the challenges, the problem statements, and success metrics. Because I said that's the foundation of building any great product. You want to understand those basics. That's the foundation. And as the outcome from that workshop, I want to be able to have a North Star, which essentially is a paragraph or a statement that says, this is what we're trying to build, this is why we are building it, and this is the outcome that we want. That statement is going to capture all that. So let's say you're trying to build, you're trying to build a recruitment software, but you want to leverage AI to automate the processes involved. A North Star would be we want to build an AI-enabled recruitment software that can help us with screening, matching, and ranking of candidates so that we can optimize the recruitment process and save costs. That's a North Star. And it kind of captures everything you need to define or to guide the product team across the discovery and the delivery phase. So that would be the outcome of that workshop. So you will see that for a discovery project, it could be like 4 weeks, and for that 4 weeks, we're trying to deep dive to understand, okay, these are the problems, and then also understand the customers as well. Why are we trying to sell? Who's going to be using this product? Or why am I trying to sell this product to? We do customer interviews, stakeholder interviews. We synthesize all that information, and then we can come out with a delivery plan, right? So day to day for that is going to be workshops, interviews, customer interviews, synthesizing all the information we've gathered, doing technical deep dives to understand the technical feasibility of what we're trying to build, trying to highlight all the risks that are involved in building this product as well. So coordinating those sessions, facilitating as well, is also involved, right? Because essentially, I'm going to have like a cross-functional product team with designers, engineers. So you're not going to be the one building it, but you want to make sure that everyone is working towards a common goal. So that is where your facilitation skills come into play. Your people management skills come into play as well. Communication skills, presentation skills. How are you able to communicate the outcome of your research? How are you able to even tell the idea? Or even influence all the stakeholders. So that's essentially what it looks like from a discovery standpoint. From a delivery standpoint, now we know what we want to build. How do we ship it, or how do we bring it to life? My day-to-day responsibilities or role as PM evolves at that point. So from the point of delivery, this is more tactical, right? It's no longer it's tactical view. So there's the strategic part, which is the discovery part, and then there's the tactical part, which is the delivery part, where it's the day-to-day grunt work you have to do to bring products to life. So that's where you have your Scrum ceremonies, which essentially is always, if you're using agile methodology to deliver, you typically would have Scrum ceremonies using a sprint cadence. So essentially, I'm having daily stand-ups, which essentially have like 15 minutes to maybe 30 minutes daily sessions that you're having with the product team, where you're talking about, okay, this is what we've worked on and this is what we're building. And then you have all the other Scrum ceremonies like refinements, backlog refinements to, make sure you're getting answers to the questions you have around the product backlog, design reviews. I'm doing technical reviews as well. You want to also make sure that you're estimating all the stories in your backlog. So those are like more tactical stuff that you're doing at the delivery phase. So of course, that kind of indicates the kind of meetings I'll be having as well, or the kind of sessions I'll be having during the delivery phase. Of course, also making sure that the team is staying within the scope, also within the budget. We're working within budget. and also the making sure I'm paying attention to the timeline as well. So that essentially kind of like encapsulates what my day-to-day responsibilities would be, both from a discovery and from a delivery point. I know I
Wow.
kind of gave a long-winded
I
answer.
mean, I mean, I was just really focused on what you were saying, and I was just enjoying it. And I believe our audience are really enjoying this, especially for people who really want to be in the path of product management. But then, Kolade, you've said a lot. You've said a lot, Peter. But can you just, is there you could just tell us, okay, so friends, these are the processes for a product manager. You've said it, I mean, but can you just come again so that we can catch it now? I know
Yeah,
you've mentioned the delivery phase. I heard you mention the delivery phase. You spoke a lot about that. So do you mind just telling us that, okay, these are some of the phases, the processes, the steps for a product manager? Because we really want everyone who wants to transition into this product management phase role to catch it from you. We want them to catch
yeah,
it from
sure.
you,
I
you
think
know.
I can synthesize all I've said. So
Yeah.
I would say I'll call out the phases and then I'll kind of say maybe it's like 5 phases involved. So like I
Okay.
said, there is the discovery phase, which
Discover.
essentially I would break it down into like, yeah, maybe understand and ideate. So if I wanted to like break it down and just kind of trying to visualize, what I would say is understand. That's the phase where you try to understand what you're trying to build. There is ideate. That is where you start to come up with ideas of, okay, these are the different ways we can build this product, or this is the different ways we can
Okay.
resolve this problem. We don't even know if it's a product that we need, right? It could be something else. So understand, ideate. This is where the team comes together, starts coming up with ideas, you brainstorm, and then you want to kind of also now consolidate, or I would say converge, because at this point you're still diverging, right? You're still trying to expand, understand ideas. You have multiple ideas, but you want to kind of streamline it. So that's why you synthesize. So synthesize
Mm.
everything you gathered, and propose. Okay, this is what this is our own point of view, or this is what we feel is going to happen. And then you want to validate that hypothesis. You want to say, okay, this is what our hypothesis is. I want to validate it, right? And validation could come
Mm.
in different formats. It could be through a prototype. It could be through a proof of concept where you do like just a minimum, very simple version of what you're trying to do to validate a particular hypothesis. So that's
Yeah.
validation. And then once you validate, and of course, it could also include even customer interviews, having users test the prototype for you to say, okay, this makes sense. So after you validate that, that's where you say, okay, we're ready to go into delivery mode. And then from delivery,
Okay.
we start to measure. So that's kind of
Mm.
like understand, ideate, um, I would say synthesize, validate. So that's 4, deliver 5, and then measure 6 phases. But from an
Wow.
high level standpoint, I can, if you want to make it more easy, I would say discovery, which
Okay.
encompasses understanding, ideate, synthesize part, and then you have delivery
Okay.
as 2, and then measure as phase 3. So that kind of, those are like 3, I would say, overarching phases. But if you're trying to drill down into the details, that's why you break it down into 6 phases across those 3
Wow.
phases.
Wow. Wow. This is sweet. So interesting. I'm sure a lot of persons are falling in love with product management already. But quickly, Kolade, we have a lot of people who are watching us. A lot of people. I mean, across the channels. Do you think your role is boring? Tell us. A lot of people want to switch into product management, but do you think that role is boring? We want to know. We want to know. What do you think? I mean, you're looking very good, Kolade. Peter, when we started, I said, I mean, you're looking very handsome. So I wanted to know, is the role part of what is making you look this good? Because there are some roles that you see the people who are doing it, they are just bored and just, but you're looking very exciting. So we want to know so that maybe a lot of us can start switching tonight.
I think it's you have to like look at what essentially is the inspiration behind you even getting into a PM role in itself.
Mm.
And I think the inspiration can be anything. I don't think there is a right or wrong answer to that. It's
Okay.
okay if money is the inspiration. PM, even tech roles generally are kind of like trending right now, even though we're having like issues in the larger market, where we're seeing a lot of layoffs. We're seeing a lot of disruption happening in the space as well, with AI and all that interesting stuff. I think it boils down to, why do you want to do PM? For me, I kind of already shared my own reasons, which is why I say, every challenge makes it more interesting to me. The process itself also makes it interesting. The fact that, I'm working with the team to kind of find out, how do we build something that is valuable to users, and how do we take, go from point A, where we have a business problem, to point B, where we're able to actually build usable software. So for me, that whole process in between is the interesting part. Now, it does come with things that make it not too interesting, especially for where I work on, for the industry I work in, which is consulting. A lot of what I do is, there is the presentation parts of it that is not that fun. Because again, as the PM, you're essentially the leader of the team. So you're responsible for aligning stakeholders, communicating progress. All those parts are necessary evils. I would say they're definitely useful, but it might make it seem not that interesting. But I think the part that is more interesting for me is like when you're essentially talking to customers, starting to uncover insights that you didn't even think about before. Debunking assumptions that you had. You'll be surprised how much things comes out when you start talking to customers, and it kind of shifts the entire narrative of the product. So for me, all those parts are the most interesting parts. There's already technical deep dive sessions where you start to get into technical details. So what that, because again, I've always enjoyed tech, even the seemingly boring parts, especially the tech part of management. I find that part, being able to like just create something from a bunch of code, and even all the other operational tech processes involved, from DevOps, CI/CD, setting up the CI/CD pipelines and all that. So for me, I've mentioned like 4 different disciplines just from what I've said. And that's what makes it exciting for me, because I'm learning every day, right? So if you want to come into PM role to make money, fine, that's doable. But that might not get you through some of the not so interesting parts. I think what gets you that is, really being interested in working on something that is actually being used, or that people actually use and give feedback. Even if you fail, being able to say, oh, I actually was part of a team that created something, that even if it's 10 users, 5 users, 20 users that use that product, I think that's what makes it truly
fun. That's an inspiration for somebody else. Wow, beautiful. All right, but then Peter, please tell us, what are some of the challenges that you think product manager faces, maybe in the consulting industry that you are, but what are some of the challenges that you have faced as a product manager?
I would say definitely a lot of challenges I've experienced. The biggest ones I've seen is building, and I think this happens even regardless of the PM discipline that you are in, either in consulting or B2C. Not building products, or when you build products that customers actually don't want, but you're building products that the business wants. And you see that happening a lot. You have conversations with business leadership or executive teams, and they say, oh, AI is trending. We want to be an AI-enabled, instead the name of the service that they're involved in. It could be AI-enabled recruitment software, AI-enabled advertising platform, AI-enabled XYZ customer support platform. And for the business, it's like, oh, we're just trying to jump into this trend. It sounds exciting. But the question is, the customers actually want this. And you see a lot of companies invest a lot of money into it just to kind of like catch the trend. And then you ship the product to market and nobody's using it. So I see a lot of that happening in businesses that I work with. I also feel a large portion of that is because a lot of enterprise organizations, especially that I work with, are still kind of stuck in that waterfall mindset, where they're trying to do all these different phases that I mentioned earlier, one after the other. But ideally, that phases should be iterative in itself across the process. So every single thing I said about understanding to ideation up on to belief and measuring should actually be happening in a short, I would say, time box cadence. So what that means is either every 2 weeks, I'm going through that whole process of understanding, reviewing, correcting assumptions, delivering, testing, and then measuring. It should be happening either in 2 week sprints or monthly sprints, depending on if you're working with agile or scaled agile. If you're working in
Okay.
happy between scaled and agile. So a lot of businesses don't pay attention to, okay, this is what customers want. And that's because they have like this fine idea. They just say, okay, we do a business case. This is going to make us money. This is what the industry is looking like. These are the projections. And you build the product, launch it, and it's a totally different ballgame. So not really paying attention to customers from the very beginning. And that's why you remember I said discovery, right?
Yeah.
Starting off without talking to customers, it makes absolutely no sense, because even if the business said they want to do this, you'll be surprised at things you're going to discover at the point where you're talking to potential customers. And it doesn't have to be like ready customers that, it's part of customer discovery where we don't even know who the customers of these products are going to be, but we know the persona, right? We know we know like a makeup of them. We know that they're either in the middle class or that they have this kind of like these demographics. You can identify those kind of people and have conversations with them, right? And that's why we want to quickly validate those ideas or start building. So I would say biggest problem is stakeholders or businesses not putting customers at the center of their product decision making. So of course, there are other challenges you will see from managing like the I call it the Trinity, like the PM Trinity or the Trinity, so to speak, but essentially managing scope, being able to manage down with budget, or I would say resources, and also with time. Managing those three, kind of finding the balance across those three. Those are like I would say that's one of like the biggest challenges PMs face. But essentially, that's your responsibility, right? Being able to manage three different variables, or I would say constants, but that's a different conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the second challenge that you would experience. It could be that you have a big scope for limited resources and time. It could be that you have confined scope or fixed scope, but we also have limited resources and we have limited time. So just kind of trying to manage those three different parameters. Essentially, it's one of the challenges as well. Of course, other things like politics, especially when you're working in consulting, there's ego management, being able to like prioritize. Also understanding decision makers across like your stakeholder matrix, being able to make sure that everyone is being heard. So people management as well. Those are some of the challenges you experience. But I'd say the first two are like the biggest challenges. Yeah.
Wow. Very interesting. Thank you so much for sharing this with us. I think for me, I'm also beginning to really understand product management. Like I've not done, the kind of understanding I'm having now, I've not had it before now. But then, Peter, do you think the knowledge of a product manager I have in consulting, for example, I could use it in software development? I just want to know if it's a universal knowledge or is different. I have someone who is in the banking industry. He's a product manager. And we got talking. And I realized that there were limitations from what he was saying as a product manager with what I thought I knew, as a product manager. So I've also seen some people who say, "Oh, I'm a product manager. And then you begin to talk to them, and just you realize that, are you really a product manager? Or because what I'm expecting, but so I wanted to hear from you. You are someone there, up there. You've worked globally. You're in Canada, and obviously a global knowledge. Tell us, what do you think? Because there are a lot of persons here who want to transition into product management, but they are just scared. I'm in the banking industry. Oh, I'm in the consulting industry. Oh, I don't know if you get it. So if I'm coming for product management now, I get the knowledge. Is this something that I can maybe begin to apply to any industry after my, so I just want you to share more light on that. Yeah, I mean, and I don't even know the industry you were before going into consulting industry.
Yeah, so there are two things to pick up from what you said. One is someone that is, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, someone that is in another field that wants to get into PM, but wants to understand, is this something that I can transition into? Or someone that is in PM role that is wondering, do I have transferable skills to other industries if I decide that maybe PM becomes outdated or AI comes and take our jobs? Like, so am I going to build skill sets that are going to be useful or transferable to other roles outside tech? So for the first part, I'll take the first part. And did I get that right?
Yeah, very correct. You got it right.
Yeah, so the first part of that conversation is, what I can say is, regardless of what your background is, you definitely get into PM roles. In fact, I would like to say you having experience across a different discipline is actually an edge, not a disadvantage.
Wow.
It's an edge. It's not a disadvantage. And
wow,
I'm speaking about this specifically from the PM, for the PM role, not technical roles like software development. Because for that, you definitely can still get into software development. Anybody can get into software development. I have a lot of friends that, that had like a banking background, finance background. Maybe they even did arts, communications, and they are software programmers. And I'm not even a software programmer. And I have a computer science background. I mean, I do understand programming languages and how it works, but I won't call myself a software developer. I've not done that for like 7 years, right? But I have friends that didn't even study computer science that are very great developers right now. So it's all about passion and interest. That's why I said, yeah, it's if you're really interested about it, you can get that done. So to get into PM roles, like I said, I spoke about my experience. Is me, I think you having a banking, let's say banking, for example, right? If you're a banker, it means you understand finance. It means you understand numbers, which I would say is even is great for a PM or even any technical role. You understanding numbers and being analytical as well. It means you understand money, right? You understand how that works. Now, you bringing that experience is going to make you stand out within the team, because you're able to draw on some of those skill sets that you have from being analytical, even your financial experience. You can draw that into projects that you have, because I, for one, now I've worked on a project within the capital markets space. I don't have a financial background, but in consulting, they value specialties or domain expertise even over technical knowledge, right? And the reason why that is even more important now is because we have AI that will be able to help us do a lot of the analytical work, but you need someone that can kind of streamline that into something that is valuable across vertical. So what that means is, if I'm trying to build a product for a financial space, I had a finance background. I can be a PM that is just working in the financial, that is focused on the finance domain. You are going to be a sought after resource within any team. Like, people will listen to you because you're not just speaking from the technical perspective, but you're also speaking from the business perspective. And if you look at the PM role itself, it's, like I said, the intersection of business, tech, and user experience, or maybe customer experience. Also, I would say user experience. So yeah, at that intersection. So business part, you having a business knowledge in a different field is something that can help you, because part of you being in that field means I have soft skills like people management, interpersonal relationship skills, communication skills. Those are skills that drive in the business space, right? In the business domain. Either it's banking, either it's advertising, either it's marketing, any field that you have background in, you need those soft skills that are required, right? So I think that's an advantage for you. So yes, you definitely come into the PM space regardless of your background, especially if you're in any of those business related backgrounds. For someone that is trying to get out from that's thinking, okay, would I have to transfer to other roles? I would say definitely, because even the PM role, like I said, you're getting experience in, you're getting more soft skills as you're building your technical skills as well. Because you have understanding about, you have the soft skills I've spoken about, but you've also now added tech knowledge about technology to it. So those are things that will even be useful in an AI world, right? I think you're going to be better off for it if you come into the PM space and you decide, oh yeah, I want to go to another space. That's fine. Those skill sets still are still with you even as you get out of the PM space.
Wow, thank you very much. I think I get it now. So our audience, I'm sure you should not be scared now. Oh, I'm in the banking industry, product management. Is this something I can really deal with? He has gone through it and he's saying that it is even an advantage. It's even an advantage to you. It's a plus because it helps you to be more, elaborate and to, have a lot of perspective to the situation. Thank you so much, Kolade. But Peter, we are having some questions coming in already. Somebody just asked the question now. Oko Louis, forgive me if I pronounce the name wrongly, but Oka is asking, he said, Peter, do you always have to assemble your own team to execute a project?
Well, within the consulting space, no, because again, that's kind of like out of scope for my role. But I'm responsible for saying these are the people I need, but I'm not responsible for saying these are the specific people I need, right? Like it has to be this particular individual. But I'm responsible for going out, okay, this is the budget. This is the budget that we need to achieve the objectives that we've set. These are like the skill sets that we need on the team. Usually I would want a cross-functional team. It depends on what we're building. If we're building a product that is based off natural intelligence, which essentially is, programming being done pre-AI intelligence. So essentially, natural intelligence is any software you use that is not built on AI or machine learning. So if I'm building anything like that, I know I need software developers, product designers. I probably need a QA tester, and maybe a business analyst if I have a product that cuts across multiple, that is kind of like broad, and I need a BA to kind of like help me streamline that. Right, but in a lot of cases as well, I don't need it. So yes, I'm responsible for the makeup of that team, and then my colleagues or my upper higher managers are the ones that say, okay, these are the people that we put on your project. So yes, I'm responsible for defining the people I need on my team. I've had cases as well when I was running building a business where I've also assembled a team, to make sure that I have all the right skill sets to deliver a product. So yes, you are responsible for building the team.
Oh, wow. All right. So Oko, I believe you've got an answer to your question. All right, but then Peter, before this live session began, someone actually sent me a question when he saw the flyer for this program, and he said, oh, what's the difference between a product owner and a product manager? So I'm sure, I don't know if he's really live now with us, but I would like you to talk about it.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I've always also, that was a point where I was confused about that, and then when I got a better understanding, I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. So I would say, first of all, if you use the word PM or PO, you are not incorrect. I think it's all about preference for companies, but some people also like to differentiate it in certain ways. So the way I'd like to think about a product owner role is most times I'm looking at it from an enterprise standpoint. I'm looking at it as, if I'm a PM in the consulting side, the product owner is going to be my client's PM, so to speak. So the product owner is the one that is responsible for the success of that product. They understand the vision of that product. They understand how it adds to the bottom line. They do a lot more of that business justification analysis and all that. So they're essentially at the top. They will have defined the broader vision. This is what we're trying to achieve. They're able to get you access to resources you need. So as the PM, my role is to engage with the PO to make sure that I'm drilling down that vision into across the team, and I'm able to also make sure that I'm delivering on that vision. So from that enterprise view, a PO is essentially on the business, is on the business or client side, and they have like the larger responsibility of the success of that product. That's the PO. As the PM, I'm more, I would say, textbook definition, I'm responsible for the delivery, but my role actually also even involves making sure that there is, because our business you talk to, they don't even have a very clear vision. So you have to fast draw that out. So I'm very wary of you trying to differentiate and saying, oh, because I'm not a PO, I shouldn't worry about the vision or the strategic part of product management.
Wow.
The B2C side, a PO would be essentially someone that is responsible for a particular segment of a larger product. So let's say, for example, you have X. You have X platform, right? X in itself is the products that you're using, the social platform. Now within X, you would have POs that are responsible for different functionalities across X. You probably have like a portfolio manager as well that is responsible for all the different other products that are within the X ecosystem, right? So the way it's all preference. There are some, it's part of like, this is how the business wants to structure it. For X, they could say, oh, for the timeline, we have someone that is responsible just for timeline functionality, right? We have someone that is responsible for DMs, direct messages, how it works. We have someone that is responsible for how we do maybe video or content display. So you can have POs across PM across each of that, and then you can have a PO that is responsible for the larger X portfolio itself, right? And it could also be, if it's a smaller product, it could just be you have a product owner that is responsible for the entire product, then you have PMs that are responsible for different parts of that product. So
Peter, sorry to cut you in. Does it look like, because there's something I've also been trying to get in tech, like this tech area we're talking about, PM, PO, product manager, project manager, business analyst. Do we have anything like hierarchy? Oh, this is the boss. PO is the boss. Product owner is the boss. PM, project manager is just there. BA. A lot of people have been asking me that, and there's this kind of like, Scrum Master is just a boy, that kind of a thing. So I wanted to know, do you think PO is like a boss to PM, or PM is like a boss to PO, or they are just all equal?
I mean, if you're going to do it in form of hierarchy, the product owner would probably be above the PM. But again, like I said, I would rather not think about that in terms of who is the boss of who. It's more of like a team that is working together towards a common goal. Because even as a PM, you're not the boss of anybody. Right? You have a team, but as a PM, your role is to you're more of like a conductor in an orchestra. You have like a conductor in an orchestra, and you're like working with all the different musicians within an orchestra. So you have like someone playing the flute, someone playing the clarinet, the trumpet, and your role as the conductor is to make sure that there is harmony when they are all playing their different parts. And I'm also able to control the tempo as well. So how fast do we need to move, or how slow do we need to move to make sure that we have harmony? So you are more of a coordinator, you're a conductor, right? You're not like nobody's reporting to you, and that's why people's are definitely important. So if you're trying to understand it from the point of hierarchy, because I know a lot of people get confused about that, a PO would definitely be responsible for, at least within a business setting, would be responsible for the larger vision of that product, defining that product vision, from getting it from the leadership team, putting into actionable objectives for the product team, and then they assign the PM to say, okay, this is what the business is trying to achieve, this is the justification, how do we bring this life? So PM is more responsible for the tactical day-to-day stuff. Then the PO is going to be responsible for finding the larger vision. So if that helps people understand it better, but I typically, like I said, you're not wrong if a PO is doing PM work. It all depends on the scale of the organization. You can have a PO that is actually also doing delivery, depending on the budget. So you shouldn't be limited to say, no, because I'm a PO, I just define, division, and then I move on. And ideally,
Yeah.
PO might also have like different products within their purview. So they might need PMs to actually help them bring those different products live, because they can't really get into the weeds for all the products. So it's all about the skill that you're operating in. If you're in a startup, I don't see the point of a PO and a PM. One person can do both roles. But if you're in an enterprise organization, then that's where structure matters. And then you can have a PO that manages different portfolios for projects, and then they have PMs that reports to them. So that's kind of the way I would think about it.
I get it. I think I got it. All right. Somebody's also asking, I think Femi is asking, what is a product manager and a project manager? So I think Femi wants to have that clarification. However, as a business analyst, I understand that, in the project phase, the conception phase obviously comes before the planning and analysis and the likes. But correct me, Peter, I think product management, product owner, do they walk through all the phase of a project? Because I understand that a project manager, after the business case is developed or the business document, or I don't know the name you call it, after the strategy session has been done, the objectives has been defined, the whole document, the business case is
product brief or the product charter.
Okay, so you call it project brief, yes, sir. So after this document is designed,
I mean,
yeah. So you hand over this document now to the project manager, who is to execute now the project, maybe with the Scrum team, the developers, and all of those other guys. Yeah. So if I'm correct, then it means the product owner or the product manager is not the one accountable for the execution of the different, the timeline monitoring and all of those things, but the project manager. I'm just putting a lot of flesh so that you could give us a clear perspective as to
and I get what you're saying. It's part of why I kind of explained it. I kept giving that context of it depends on if you're working in an enterprise company, a startup. All those things there are gray areas around all those conversations. But to answer your first question of the difference between a project manager and a product manager, I like to tell people that a PM is essentially a project manager on steroids. He's a project manager on steroids. And I would even argue that project management is one of is a good entry level role into product management. Yeah, because I think a lot of skill set that you have as a project manager, you can translate to being a product manager.
Wow.
Right? So yes, there is a difference, but I feel that line is graying out right now, because the only thing you had on as a project manager, the skill set you need to build on that is understanding the technology behind what you're building, which is part of the upskilling a project manager will need to be able to get into the PM role, but also understanding how to talk to customers. So user experience design, business analysis, being able to do customer research or customer discovery. Those are things that project managers typically would not worry about. They worry about scope, timeline, projects, right? And then how do we make sure that everybody is doing their parts? But a PM is more hands-on. A product manager has to do more than that. So that's kind of just where it's different. But yeah, a project manager there are different roles, definitely, but a project manager I think can get into a PM role. They have a lot of transferable skills into a product management role. Now, for your other part of what is a PM responsible for, when you have a PO that is ideally should be responsible for budget, timeline, and all those things, a product manager is definitely responsible for that. At least within, I would say even either consulting or you're working in B2C or SaaS, you are responsible for that, and it's dangerous for you to not think in that way, because when you don't understand some of those factors, it can potentially affect the success of your product.
Yes, sir.
If you say I'm not worried about budget, they can cut funding at any point in time for your projects. Why would they cut funding? It's most likely will be because that product is not generating revenue, or there's no clear monetization strategy for that product. If you do not understand revenue, bottom line impacts as a PM, you start at the risk of your project becoming defunded and you losing either losing your job at worst, or the project being unplugged or shut down. So you need to understand those things. And even if it's not within your scope, you need to be involved to understand how it impacts your project. So I would definitely caution that product managers, depending on where you're working, in some places, you have people defining all those things for you. And they just say, oh, this is the budget, this is fine. They've defined the budget. And then this is the scope. Then you need to be able to say, okay, if I have a limited budget, but the scope is looking very wide and I have like a short timeline, how do I make sure from the get-go I'm able to cut that risk of me running out of budget before I even deliver this project? You need to make sure that I'm prioritizing, first of all. How am I prioritizing the functionalities that I know will add the most business and customer value? And two, how do I make sure that the team is also estimating the amount of work needed to be done within that budget? So if you don't understand those things, you are kind of creating a risk where you're not going to be able to deliver that project on time or within budget. So at the very least, you need to understand those things, even if you're not the one responsible for defining those things. So that's the way I would recommend that.
Wow, this is, I mean, so knowledge packed, Peter. You've spoken so many things today within 1 hour. We've used an hour already, and it's speaking like we just started, because I still have a lot of things inside of me I wish to, ask you. But we are time bound. But I will still want to ask you, because a lot of people are here today and they really want to. I'm sure some of them want to transition into being a product manager. Peter, what advice would you give to someone who wants to transition into product management? Generally now, you have been there, you have been enjoying it, you've seen the ugly part of it, you've seen the challenges, you've seen the monetary, let me ask that question, let me say that very well. You've seen the account back pass of it. I don't know if you get that, because a lot of people say, oh, product managers, they make a lot of money. But then let me let you talk. What advice would you give to people who want to transition? What skills do you think, oh, you need to get? Someone, an organization like ATC, forgive me, to quickly say that, Advanced Training Consult, this is one of the things we do. We've trained quite a number of persons, in the area of business analysis, in the area of Scrum Master, in the area of product owner, in the area of product manager, and techie areas. And quite a number of our alumni are now working in different places across the world. But you are an expert and you are doing fantastic in a place like Canada. We want you to tell us, and our audience who are listening, as an advice, as a professional, as a subject matter expert, this is what I will advise you. So we want to get it all from you, Peter.
Yeah, so what I would advise is, first of all, you have to get into it for the right reasons. Well, again, I would say right reasons. It can be, there's no right or wrong reasons, but you want to make sure that you are really interested in either building products, or you actually maybe even working within teams, right? So you need to really be very interested about technology for you to succeed in product management. And when I say interested in technology, now you being technical, you just need to be able to say, oh, and it's a mindset you can have even from now, right? When you're using products or software, or even any products, even if it's not software, start to ask questions about, how was this product built? What were the processes that went into play? Why is it that there is this new functionality that Instagram launched that allows you to be able to maybe have a Finsta, so to speak, like a fake Instagram profile, or to have ability to put notes on DMs? You start to ask questions about the products you are even using. Now, if you have to spark that curiosity, you have to be genuinely interested in those things. If not, product management is going to get boring, because there are a lot of repetitive tasks that you would have to do. Processes are very important. So if you're not really interested in building products or how products work, you might get bored. But yes, you definitely still get it at make your money. So that's why I said it's not necessarily right or wrong reason. So you need to start asking questions, be a lot more curious about how the technology works behind some of your favorite products. But I think also is for you to understand that whatever background you have is not an inhibitor or is not going to stop you from getting into this role. You just need to, like, first of all, have that interest. Once you have those two things, now you have to start looking at how do I differentiate myself? Because right now, you have like different things you can do in terms of products. So which part interests you? Do you want to go to the consulting side where I'm able to work on different products at different times, different verticals? There's the pros and cons for that, right? It means every week, every month is a new thing that you're working on. Your pace at learning is also being fast tracked. You are getting different experience across different domains. You're probably not going to get bored quickly, but it's also very tasking. It's mentally tasking. You have to like be up of your feet at every time. The other part you could say, oh yeah, I want to go into like the product side where I'm working on SaaS products or I'm working on a core product. So maybe let's say maybe you're working on a pay stack, for example, or working at Stripe. That's a singular product you're focused on payment gateways, right?
Yeah.
So there's a different kind of experience you can kind of zone into class knowledge base or skill set that you need to have to succeed in payment space. So you need to tell, okay, do I want to kind of like niche down and be like PM that is specific to payments or to a particular vertical, or do I want to be like more with a purpose PM that I can kind of like work across different industries? So when you define that, it kind of informs what you focus on in your learning experience. That's after you can now say, okay, this is what my learning plan is going to be. Online courses is great to kind of prep you. I also see the value of working in training institutions like ATC, other like all boot camps, because you also get to build your confidence that way. You can ask stupid questions. You can, if you get stuck, working with those kind of training companies kind of helps you. So that's now when you say, okay, this is what I want, because now you have a clear goal in mind that this is what I want to get to. It starts to make even your training sessions with companies like ATC more productive, because this is what I want to do. This is the goal. This is where I'm trying to get to. Can you guys help me to get there? And what I need to do to get there. So that's one thing. And another thing I also want to say is a product management role is not an entry-level role. That's why I always tell people.
It's not an entry-level role.
So what that means is it's not a role that I'm bad at right out of school and then I want to become a product manager.
Wow.
If you have work experience,
yes,
it's like regardless of the field, it makes sense. But you getting into a PM role is going to be tricky directly from like, oh, I just graduated from school, I want to become a product manager. Because like I said, there is a lot of soft skills that are involved. It's not just about technical skills that will help you succeed in PM roles. And you get those soft skills from experience, a certain level of experience interacting with different people within the business space. So if you've had experience in banking, regardless of the field, at least you've engaged team members, worked with leadership, worked with your manager. Those kind of skill sets will come useful as a PM, even beyond your technical skill sets. So the way I would say is, if you're trying to get to PM, there are of course entry level roles like associate product management. But if we are being realistic, nobody really wants to hire associate product managers anymore. Because people are trying to get value from day one. If you're an associate, it means I can't put. In fact, my company doesn't recruit associate. There's no associate PM role. Companies that work for us as well that are PM roles, they kind of just cut out associate roles, and that's because for you to start getting value from a PM, you'll have paid 1 year of full salary. From an associate PM rather, I would have paid 1 year of full salary, but I'm not able to still put them in front of an exec. I'm talking like people that I'm interacting with, like people at leadership level, that you have to be able to have conversations with them at that level. And I think, if you're just coming right out of school, those are things you might struggle with. Again, it depends on your experience. If you have some work experience as well in school, then that helps. But you want to have some sort of work experience, regardless of the field, at least some work experience, then you can have like a training institution to kind of help you understand the intricacies for a product management role. So yeah, those are like things
Wow.
to yeah.
Wow, wow, wow. Very beautiful advice you've given us there. Thank you so much, Peter. And I think the last advice also answered the question of someone. I just saw the question now. Someone, I think Samson was asking that is product management an entry-level role or one has to grow from other fields? And I think you just mentioned that in
It's
your
like a
advice.
from other fields and then
Mm.
transition into PMO.
Into PM role. Wow, beautiful, beautiful. So I think we need to close it here, but I would just want to ask one last question, and maybe you could still answer, and then maybe another one last question. That last question will be more interesting. But let me just ask: do you have any um, products you've developed that you would want to just run us through the success, or maybe you had a failure in that product, or there was a success, and you just want to give us that story, and we just wrap it up for today.
Yeah, I like talking more about failures because I feel I learn more from that.
Wow.
To be fair,
Wow.
I've had my fair share of failed products. I have like four different products in the product graveyard that never
Whoa.
saw the day. What
Whoa.
I can see similar across those products is because I didn't pay attention to what do people actually want, not what I feel
Wow.
is or trendy. So there was a time that I worked on a sentiment analysis platform back when I was in I was running an agency, and we kind of went into that um, blindfolded. You know, we didn't really engage customers. We didn't even really speak to people that is this what you want. So we just were like, okay, this is something that customers would find useful. And then went into design mode, went into delivery mode, and eventually that we saw that there was good demand for the product. That's just because we didn't actually put the customers at the center. So instead of you saying, oh, starting from I have a fine product idea, you want to start from the customer problem. So what is the issue? And then you would be surprised that it might not even be what you're thinking about. It might not even be a product they need. It could be something else. It could be an existing product and they just need distribution. Maybe that's what they need.
Wow.
So I think that's in cases where my products have failed, it's me not starting with the customer problem. And I would say successes as well. I've had successes in products that I've built. I can't really talk about specifics.
Yeah.
But what I can say is what always helps is making sure that you're getting like that foundation in terms of this is what the business problem is and the vision that you have.
Yeah.
Importantly, how do I make sure that that business problem I connect it into something that is useful for customers? So being able to fill that gap between the business problem and usable software that people want. I think other things to also think about when you're trying to build products is, am I building a vitamin or a painkiller? Right.
Wow.
So if you think of products you use, you can probably categorize them into painkillers. Is if you have like an headache, you have to like essentially use a painkiller right now. You have to use either Panadol, paracetamol, Tylenol. It's a need. It's not something I want. I need it like to survive. Right.
Yeah.
And you can think of some products like Google search. You're trying to find something that Google search is kind of thing that you can classify as a painkiller, right? Because this is something that absolutely really helps me function as at least in my professional career. Like I go to Google search to quickly find stuff. But there are other products that you can call vitamins, and both of them also kind of work, right? You can still be successful with any of those two products. But most times when you're trying to build products that actually scale and that potentially that millions of people can use, then you want to be focusing more on painkillers. Products that can, like in my everyday life, I can't see people not using this. And people might not even know it's a painkiller at that point. But where your role comes in to, present it to people in a way that, okay, they're like, oh yeah, I didn't even think I needed this. So you have to be able to have that foresight as well, and curiosity to be able to get to that part where you're able to create painkillers. Of course, like I said, there's role for vitamins as well, but just also being able to think from that perspective when you're thinking about products development.
Wow. Wow. I mean, this is so sweet and interesting. I said last question, but Peter, someone just sent me another question now, and I think I would love to ask. I mean, people are enjoying this conversation. I'm sorry about that. All right. So
That's fine.
he said, yeah, he said, sorry, can you help me ask, who generates product ideas for a project? The organization or the product manager himself? Who generates product ideas for a project? The organization or the product manager himself?
Good question. Product ideas. I would say it's a collaborative process. It's not something I would say product manager for sure. It's both the organization, and when I say organization, I'm saying the product team, I'm saying the stakeholders or the business leaders. Everyone is involved. So you can't say it's just the responsibility of the PM. I think the role of the PM in that situation is to facilitate good decision making, right? So how do I make sure that the ideas we are generating is within the scope of the business problem or the identified customer problem? That's the role of the PM, where it's a collaborative process. And that's the way I think about even when it comes to products. The PM by him or herself is not effective. Is when you're working within a team that is working towards a common goal. That's when the PM is most effective. So you can't really do anything without having my developer or my designers or having input from like the stakeholders as well to make sure that the ideas we are putting in is still within scope. So as the PM, like I said, facilitation facilitation skills are super important, right?
Yeah.
Because you want to be able to gather a set of people together
Yeah.
to brainstorm on those ideas. You don't want to come with your own ideas alone as a PM. I think that's a recipe for failure. You want to make sure that, which is part of what speaks to what I said about ideating process, that journey. You want to ideate with your team because you'll be surprised how many diverse inputs you're going to get, different perspectives from developer, from anyone on the team. And you want to make sure that all those ideas are being and that you can start saying, okay, which one matches the business problem the most, right? And there are different ways you can do that. You can do like goal mapping to like functionalities, prioritization as well, using prioritization metrics in terms of business value against urgency, or business value against customer impact. Having like a 2x2 matrix to kind of prioritize, okay, these are the functionalities we've defined. But yeah, I would say it's a collaborative process. It's not just responsibility of the organization or the PM. It's a team effort.
Wow. It's a team effort, and the recipe for failure is trying to do it yourself. These are the words of Peter, powerful words, and I don't think I'll forget those words anytime soon. Thank you so much, Peter, for being a beautiful, incredible, insightful, knowledge-packed speaker in our series of transitioning into tech in ATC today. We really are so glad to have you in this episode, and I'm certain that our audience have learned so much. I mean, I can't just have them start clapping. If you can clap on the IG page or on the YouTube, whichever place you are, please just give Peter some claps. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Peter. All right, last question, and we close this, Peter. Do you think this role, product management, is profiting? Yeah.
I think it's okay. I won't. Wow. I mean, it's again, tech generally has enjoyed like a higher than average pay scale compared to some of the other industries. The other industries that will argue that also probably even earn more than tech. When you start to talk about investment, capital markets, finance, those people also make as much money. So it's all about interest. You can also make money from that field. In fact, you can make money from pretty much anything. It's all about how you differentiating yourself within those fields. But yeah, I think it's okay. It's again, it depends on the market you're operating in. If you're in Canada, in the US, if you're in UK, you probably will see different pay scales for those different markets. But generally, PM roles, from my experience, they typically, even at least in this part of the world, if you're on the same level like a software dev, you might even be earning more than a software developer in a different market. Like maybe if you're developer is in Europe and you're as a PM in Canada or US, you probably might be earning more than that developer because again, the PM role is there's a lot of responsibility for the PM. A lot. And I think it reflects in the pay scale as well. Of course, engineers get paid as well, depending on the market. If you're in the US as an engineer, you're probably getting more than a PM on the same level. But if you're an engineer in Europe, especially if we're talking about Eastern Europe, southern parts of Southern Europe, I'm not really familiar with the UK market. You start to see like a variance in terms of earning potentials. But generally, I think it's make decent money as a PM.
Wow, you make decent money.
If you're a PM in Tesla, or a PM in Google, or you're a PM in any of the FANGs, or if you're a PM with a startup, you can start up in variations, but I would say on the average scale, it's all right.
Oh, on the average scale, it's all right. These are the closing words of Peter, and I know what that means. So friends, audience, what it means is as an average person, you can make a lot of money in PM. That's what he's trying to say. He wouldn't want to say it directly. These guys, they are, you know, when you see people who are making good money, they just tell you, you know, but then we've learned so much today, and that is the most important thing. And for everyone who wants to transition, you can always reach out to us. I mean, you can also reach out to Peter. You can check about him on IG. You could see Peter Kolade, and trust me, so much value you can get from him. This is Advanced Training Consulting, and we are really super excited to have you join us. We have a cohort that is coming up next in June. You will start seeing more information about that. If you want to transition into tech, oh, I want to become a business analyst, I want to become a Scrum Master, I want to become an IT project manager, I want to become, name it. Okay. All right, so sorry about that. I think we had a break in the transmission. So thank you everyone for joining. It's been a very beautiful time spending with you. We spent over an hour in a very beautiful conversation with Peter, and I'm sure you got a lot of information. So you can always reach out to us on Instagram if you want to reach out to us, and we'll always be there to assist you. Also, if you want to reach out to us, you can call us. Our numbers are right on our IG profile or on our YouTube profile. If you want to reach out to Peter too, feel free to reach out to us and we can do you that favor. All right, one more time, thank you everyone for joining us. Peter, we are so grateful. Thank you for that valuable time you've given to people. Over close to 100 persons joined today, and I'm sure they've learned so much from you.
Thanks for having me, Tosi. Nice chatting with you.
Thank you so much. I'm sure we'll want to have you again, Peter. We want to have you again, Peter.
Yeah, sure. Hit me up anytime.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you. Have a wonderful time. Yeah.
You too.
Yes, sir. Okay.